Global endurance athlete and Donegal man Jason Black is going to join us in studio next this morning here on OTBM. He's a man with a remarkable story. He's aiming to become the first person to ever complete the world's big three, the world's toughest human-powered challenge. The rules are simple: solo race across America, solo row the Atlantic Ocean, and solo summit Mount Everest. Have a look.
The world's ultimate trilogy has never been achieved in the history of human existence. The three dramatic arts are bold, mythical and magical. Life is an expedition, sometimes a battle full of the unexpected. Sometimes we focus on the destination and forget about the journey. But when you fall, life allows you to get up stronger. It allows you to trust in your own understanding, dream bigger, believe in yourself, and find real purpose. My name's Jason Black and I'm an Irish Red Cross ambassador. The rules are simple: solo summit Mount Everest, solo race across America, solo row the Atlantic Ocean. The World Big Three captures the imagination and lays bare the human potential to endure and survive. I've already climbed out of the gutter of life and I survived, and that was just a rehearsal. Race across America is the world's longest and toughest.
Jason, good morning to you.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
Great, thank you. Thanks for having me here.
Which stage of this are you at the moment? You've obviously done Everest.
Yeah, so nailed Everest on 2013 on the north side, and incredible experience, just mind-blowing to be totally honest. As a young boy growing up in Donegal here in Ireland, never thought I could ever realise that. And so then just all ready to go now, 16th of June, Oceanside, California, 5,000 kilometres, race over to Maryland in the east coast of America. So plan of attack is 9 days, 22 hours on the bike, 2 hours off, 1 hour sleep, 1 hour to eat.
9 days?
9 days.
Right. How do you prepare for that?
I started out in Ireland as a young amateur cyclist, raced the Irish cycling scene as a road racer. Found out I was getting slower as my age went on, couldn't race the young guys any longer. Decided I had to shift my goals to the endurance world, fell in love with it completely, loved the whole character of it, loved the individuals within it, loved the whole motivation behind it. And I suppose a life on a bike in Ireland and Donegal and in the mountains and in the rivers, and just been blessed to have been in the great outdoors all my life, has kind of prepared me for this physically and, more importantly, mentally. And it's just marvellous to be able to do it.
So that's the macro, spiritual,
Yeah.
That's how you get, but how do you physically prepare to cycle from California to Maryland?
Yeah, so it's like everything, you know. I mean, it is that psychological battle. You know, you start your first 5K and then you end up running a marathon. It's quite similar in the endurance world. You know, the limiting factors are ourselves. We think, you know, I started out as a road racer and the maximum distance I would have raced was 150 kilometres, and I thought that was huge. Then you start looking at 500 and you think, and then, you know, it's like a line in the sand. Once you do it, that's it. You've crossed it. You don't fear it again. And life's exactly the same. And then I moved to my first 1,000, 2,500. I was in the studio last year, and then that next day I left to do my first 2,500 kilometre race. It was fantastic. Finished third. It was right around the circumference of Ireland. You know, that was just a magical moment for me, because it just galvanised the fact that I had it inside to go further. And there was a lot of good things and bad things that happened, so the whole learning was incredible. And then I went on the 1st of August to the North Cape, which was 4,300 kilometres from Turin in Italy to the edge of the earth in Norway. And it was an unsupported race. I mean, find your food, find your water, and it's up to you whether you want to sleep or not. And travelling through 10 countries, dealing with different languages, dealing with different currencies. And it was brilliant. It was just class, you know what I mean? I come out of that really strong, finished 6th. I had a crash, ended up having to go to hospital. That can help me back slightly, but that's all part of the journey. It was about that falling down and having the courage to get back up and get back on the bike, like life, which I keep referring to a lot, you know, because I speak to young kids about that. Don't be afraid to fall, but have the courage to get back up and on the saddle again. And for me, that once I came away from the North Cape, 4,500 in the bag, I knew that inside the body, that Race Across America, which is the blue ribbon for the endurance world, I knew that was possible. And they gave me an entry, and so now I'm going to be at the line on 16th of June. My start time is 12 o'clock, and I'm going to fly that Irish flag really proudly, you know, and I'm going to show that through endurance we can conquer everything and anything. And it's not about the bike. It's actually not about the sport. It's more about the process inside it, and that's really where the magic lies, and that's my message to each and everybody that I have an opportunity to share with, and for those that wish to listen, because not everybody's ready to listen to that story.
How come you realised it was possible, Jason? What did you learn about yourself that you thought to yourself, right, okay, now I'm ready? Yeah,
look, that's a brilliant question. It's just that, the ability to fall 7 times but get up 8, and just to trust that inner ability, it's just, age is a great learning curve as well. When I was younger, I probably would never, even though I was probably fitter, I was certainly not stronger, but I was fitter mentally. I'm stronger today than I was physically back then, or than I am now than I was back then. So age has been a great learning for me, and through time and through the setbacks in life and through having a mortgage, experiencing death, and this is all off the bike. And I know the question you're asking is, is it not about going out and doing 1,000 kilometres every week on a bicycle? Yes, that's part of it. There's the physical preparation, which we all can do. And the limiting factor for most people that choose not to take something on like this is the mental battle that's involved. And it's, when you're at the start line of a race and you know that it's 3,000 kilometres to that finish line, how do you prepare yourself? But I don't look any further, and I mean this honestly, I don't look any further than the first kilometre. If I was to look at the 3,000 or 5,000 in America in June, I'd go bananas. So would anybody. I can only look about the next kilometre, and that's the same step. It's just that having the commitment to keep going forward. But it's great, it is about involving yourself in races throughout the world. As an endurance athlete, I'd done the race across Laos, Thailand, Cambodia. I won that last year, and then I went into the race across Ireland. I went to the North Cape. I went to Oman and raced across the desert. And you're putting yourself in extreme environments, not extreme situations, extreme environments where there's very little around you other than your own ability to survive and believe in yourself. And it's only through that experience that the magic flows. It's only when you put yourself in that environment that you really get an opportunity to see the good, the bad, and the ugly. And then it's through the good and the bad and the ugly, you sieve through it to make yourself better.
You said there about 2 minutes ago you experienced death. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so look, I was doing a race there in September. I was delighted to be invited out to Eco Challenge in Fiji. It's deemed as one of the toughest endurance races in the world. It's 9 days through Fiji, 9 different disciplines, from whitewater rafting, deep sea diving, mountain biking, running, and everything else that's unsupported. Bear Grylls set the course. 66 countries were in there. And it was the most incredible journey. It was absolutely unbelievable. Outside of the culture and the experience of the people that we met, the race itself was just, at a huge different level completely on an international stage. Sadly for me, on the last day, I picked up something in the jungle, because we're wading up to our waist in water. So we're going through different, environments that are probably murky and are carrying some feces of some sort. And I picked up something. It came in through a cut in my leg that I had picked up an earlier on through rocks.
That's the cut there, I think, is it?
And yeah, that's it. And for me, I just, my blood pressure dropped. The doctors and the medics got a hold of me and found out that they could do nothing for me in Fiji. It was kind of a red alert job, and sent for an airplane. Airlifted me to New Zealand. I crashed mid-flight. They had to resuscitate me. Whatever it was, it just attacked my internal organs, my kidneys, my lungs, my heart, all that kind of was really struggling hugely. And I don't remember any of that. I remember waking up in New Zealand. I was taken to a disease clinic. And it sounds a bit mad, but the doctors were delighted to have found this new bug that they had never witnessed and seen before. So they had to grow the cultures in the lab. And 8 days later, I was back on my feet again. And thanks to the incredible medical services globally, I'm here to tell the tale. So it's just another battle on the journey of endurance.
So you died? You were clinically dead for...
Mid-flight, yeah. Don't remember a thing.
Right.
And there were 2 French doctors on board, and they had the gear on board to shock me.
Right.
Bring me back. And I was talking to them 5 minutes before it.
So, obviously you weren't well. You were obviously very, very sick.
I was very sick, yeah. No question about it. Because in Fiji, and we were in the hospital there, they were 6s and 7s. Fabulous people, great doctors, but just didn't have the expertise to deal with the rare bug that had got inside. And there was sepsis in there. There was things flowing through my blood. And it's just a very unfortunate situation. But, it's the challenges we face when we put ourselves in that environment.
What's your initial emotion when you come back to life, when you realise what's just happened?
Well, I didn't, first of all, know it happened until they explained it to me. So, you know, you do have that opportunity then on your own, because you're back in the mountains in Donegal or back in Ireland here, or you're back in your bike and you're doing long hours, and you have that opportunity to reflect on, wow, that's close. Do I dwell on it? No, I don't. You know, do I accept the status quo? Yes, I do. I suppose I put myself in harm's way. You don't ever step into the arena for that to happen, but you do know that there's things like that can happen. So I don't really dwell too much on it, to be honest. It's just a part and parcel of the jigsaw puzzle.
We're going to see that story on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, Eco Challenge is quite special. You know, there were 66 countries, and to to be an Irish athlete on that was just phenomenal. You know, Bear said it was going to be the most horrific and aggressive course that they've ever built, and it was. It was day and night, non-stop for 9 days. And it was magical. And Amazon Prime are putting it out now for 10 one-hour shows now from June on. But tonight, Special Forces goes out. And, you know, I'm here this morning to talk about that, and just to empower young people to watch the show, and through actions of 28 incredible people, the highs and lows, the good, the bad and the ugly, through endurance you can conquer again.
Special Forces is the course that the Irish Rangers do, is that right?
Yeah, look.
Is it the exact same course? Is it modelled on the course?
It's modelled on the course. I would say, to be honest, it's watered down, if I'm completely honest, even though it was so incredibly tough. I mean, it really was. It's not a TV show, far from it. You know, the minute you get off that bus, the four Rangers get at you, and it is just, you know, you enter a bubble, and it's just like, my adrenaline, and I've been used to this world quite a bit, but my adrenaline was so high for 2 days, it was just, I couldn't get it under control, because they keep you at an all-time high. You don't know when they're going to come in, they don't know what they expect from you. The drills are just non-stop, 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 non-stop. And it's the physical battle, but more importantly, it's the mental battle, the psychological battle. And there was 28 candidates from Ireland, ladies and gents, and the most fabulous people. And I can't speak about it highly enough. I can't praise the Irish Rangers enough myself personally, because I had no real experience of what an Irish Ranger goes through, or anybody in the Special Forces. But now having a snapshot, just a small snapshot of what it looks like, if that's even a quarter of what these guys do, hats off.
Most of the Rangers, as far as I know, fail at least once before they actually manage to make it through, and the level of failure rate is so high.
Yeah, 95%.
Is it that high?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Like very few of them get through the first time. I mean, the DSs are, you know, outside of the production, which you only got an opportunity to see them once when they bowed you out, you got to see that there was a human side to them. But outside of that, they are just killers, cutthroat, unbelievable. And they're a protecting force, and proudly. I mean, it's incredible what these guys go through. But the course itself was just unbelievable. It really was. It was everything.
And a physical challenge. What is the physical challenge, and what is the mental challenge?
Well, you're going to see it all tonight. You're not going to see it all tonight. It's one of 7 series, an hour every Monday at 9:30, and each week they're trying to, or each exercise they're trying to eliminate candidates. Now, in particular, this year seemed to be extremely strong. There was absolutely 28 superstar athletes in there, and they said themselves they found it really hard to crack people. People did crack as they went along, and you were cracked on the most simplest things. Like, it was like sleep deprivation. You'll be put to bed at 11 o'clock, you think you're going to get a night's sleep, and 5 minutes later they have you up. And they have you up and they have you going for 10 hours, non-stop, in the mountains, in the rivers, pulling trucks, in the beach, doing the most outrageous exercises in the water. And just, you're completely and constantly be brought out of your comfort zone. And that in itself is the journey. It's not the exercises most people can do, but it's operating outside of your comfort zone on a continuous basis is where they get you, and then they break you. Well, when I say break you, it's not physically breaking you. They get you to surrender and say, that's it, I've had enough.
How come you don't surrender?
Well, I'm human. I'm like everybody else. The show will show all. But, you know, sometimes I suppose through the journey of life and through the journey of endurance, you know, I've had more unsuccessful results in some races than I've had results. I mean, K2 in 2015, I didn't get to the summit. I walked away. I thought my chances were over. I rebuilt myself, went back in 2018, pulled it off. And it's that ability to go back in and do it. I do suffer, like I'm human like everybody else. I do suffer with with the reality of defeat, or a setback where I have to step back from the situation. I haven't completed it, and I've got to rebuild myself and go forward. And you know, that's something that's really important to me. It's, you know, accepting my limiting belief at that, or my limiting factor, physically or mentally at the time, but having the ability just to get back up and say, right, what did I do right? What did I do wrong? How can I correct this? How can I make me stronger or fitter or faster? Was it physical? Was it mental? And then having the courage to, and I think sometimes that's the weak link, is that people, whether it's through life or through a marriage or through a work situation or through a sporting situation, when they have a setback, they blame everybody around us, and it's the blame culture. We absolutely blame everybody, but have the courage to look in the mirror and say, did I contribute to that? Was I not strong enough going into the event? How can I be better if I attempt to take it on the next time around? And that's ultimately what's really important. But to fear itself, no, embrace it.
What's going through your mind at a time when you're close to breaking like that, whether it's physically, whether it's mentally? It's interesting hearing you talk about Fiji and referring to it as an amazing experience. Most people will listen to that and think, God, that sounds terrible. Same with the special forces. What is it inside your head that allows you to get through that barrier? And there are plenty of barriers in these moments.
Look, you know, I embrace life, and like I don't judge people, and I don't wish to be judged. I think as human beings, we should allow each and every individual to be themselves, to walk in their own shoes, to have the courage to be themselves. And that's critically important in life, and we should really celebrate that. And sometimes in Ireland and in the world, we tend to look at the gaps in people and never the gains. And we should look at the gains that people make. So if you're going to run a marathon, but you didn't get to the finish line, but I got 40 kilometres, well, let's celebrate the 40 kilometres and not analyse the gap. And that's really, really important. And we should change that mindset completely. And we should allow people to be themselves. And if Jason Black wants to climb Everest K2 and race to the end of the earth, we should celebrate that. And equally at the same time, I have so much courage for people that are today getting out of their bed and climbing a bigger battle than I've ever climbed in my life. They're dealing with a disability, they're dealing with suicidal thoughts, they're dealing with depression, they're dealing with financial issues. They're dealing with bullying, they're dealing with all these incredibly horrific events in life, sadly, and they're having to deal with it nearly every day of their life. I don't. I've only had to deal with it for a short time. I'm just back from Africa at the weekend. I was out for 3 weeks there, and I was in the Congo for 7 days, and I was with young kids, and it was just a horrific situation in a sense that you want to see the way these people have to live. Unfortunately, there's no money, and they're living in really tough conditions. They're after coming through the civil war with, I was in Uganda, Rwanda, and the Congo. And, you know, the effects of the civil war are still there. The amputees, the broken families, the death and the devastation. Young kids that were caught as boy soldiers returned to their families in Rwanda that their mum and dad thought they were killed. This is all what we were doing, and you know, the Irish Red Cross, and I'm an ambassador for them, they're out there doing that. And, you know, it just galvanizes the fact that we're here and we've got beautiful clothes in our back, we've got a lovely house, we've got a beautiful car, and we've got money in our pocket, and we have a way around life, yet we're still not happy. And they're out there and they've got nothing, and they're the happiest people you could meet. And I stayed with them. The most expensive meal I could buy off them was €150, and they would only take maximum €5 a night for accommodation. They give me their bed, and it was just the most grounding and galvanizing fact of life. So when you come back here, you look about your own challenges and your own battles, and you think you should be giving out and crying and whinging and everything, and no, it's the opposite. I want to embrace life. I really, you know, while I'm on this planet and God gave me a gift to be here, I'm going to celebrate it and I'm going to enjoy it. And that might sound corny to some people, it might sound, you know, spiritually hairy-fairy, but that's me. That's how I'm living my life. And, you know, I want to celebrate everybody that I meet, because goals are reflective of an individual, and they shouldn't be. Nobody should want to follow my goals and my ambitions. They're mine. But what we should do is have the courage to celebrate each and every one of our goals and ambitions, no matter how big or how small they are, because the small one to that individual is huge, and to a big one, to a certain individual, is quite normal.
Can I follow up that sublime piece with something vaguely ridiculous? We're doing Swim for a Mile at the moment.
Brilliant.
And it's going okay. Owen is...
He's the leading shark.
He's just starting out.
How's it going?
Not very well, Jason.
What's the limiting factor?
Here, this is actually very handy that you popped in. I drastically overstated my ability to actually swim, which is, believe it or not, important when you're swimming a mile. So,
let me just fill in some context here. We're 5 weeks into a 12-week project, right?
Brilliant.
And Owen, when he first got in, was not great technically, and has just got good technically in the last 5 weeks. Has acquired a lot of skills. Is breathing over his shoulder. Is actually But I mean, you've literally climbed K2, so I'm just looking for a little bit of inspiration for him to drive him through the next 7 weeks, because he's already started to say, look, you know, I'll show up on the day, but I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to.
I haven't said that.
Yeah,
I'm not
these are direct quotes.
I would have given up by now, but I didn't believe I could do it. So there's a possibility.
The belief is there. You got to train. Like, I mean, it's down to the black and white. You've got to get into the pool and address the demon. And but is that not where the magic lies? I mean, the fear of the unknown is magical. I have so much respect for somebody that's getting in, that's a non-swimmer. It's going to take on this a mile a week. Hopefully, it's for charity or for a cause.
Yeah.
And you had this. One of the other warriors was on the show, Jerry Redmond. Pro to Prison. It was on the Off the Ball show, and he's a great coach based in Dublin. You should reach out to him and he'll give you some support. But just get in and be motivated. Have the motivation in your mind. It's not about you, and you're doing it for another reason. And sometimes that's what motivates me. If I selfishly look at me and think, well, I'm just doing this for my own egotistic way, it's not that. I don't give a damn about that. It's more about, well, my actions. I want to show that impossible is possible. And when you get into the water, that's exactly what you should do. So the length of the pool is you're making a difference in somebody else's life. And that's the difference. That is the motivation. There should be no other motivation required. You know that one length of the pool or that 1 mile that you're going to do every week is going to make a difference in somebody else's life. Period.
So next step, the Atlantic is what you're saying.
If it's in your mind.
What happens next for you then? Is there any challenge left out there beyond what's on the menu already?
The World Big Three is huge for me, and I heard it there in the introduction. You know, the World Big Three is the Everest, the Race Across America, and the Road of the Atlantic. And you know, I mentioned earlier on, I am a very proud ambassador for the Irish Red Cross, and I'm a very proud athlete. It's not about me. It's actually about my actions to show that it's all possible. I spend a vast majority of my time, thankfully, today, and it's through the opportunity of adventure that the door opened into the schools. And I'm up and down Ireland and all over the world, and even last week in Africa, to stand in a classroom in Africa. Kids are the same worldwide. They have the same ambition, they have the same curiosity, they have the same love for life. And it's just magical to be able to stand there as a human being, just this very ordinary person that was growing up in Donegal with two beautiful parents, and just say, look, you know what, I have my battles to deal with in life, which I spoke about on the show before, but I got past it and I've chosen to live an incredible life of adventure. And that's really important to me. And if my continuous journey continues to open that door, and inspiration is a word that doesn't sit well with me at all. It's more about empowering people. It's about, if my actions empower somebody else that's sitting there thinking, no, I can't. Well, I'm thinking, yes, you can. Because I can, you can. I've got to train hard, be committed, have a vision, have a dream, and be humble doing it. Well, then so can you. And the World Big Three is Race Across America next, 16th of June. And then the row across the ocean. And why that's important to me is I'm really touched by the migrant situation globally. I've met two of them of late, and that really inspired me to follow my dream, which was they're getting on a rubber dinghy. They've got no GPS, they've got no access to food or water when they're on a rubber dinghy, and they're setting sail for a better life somewhere else, and they do not know if they're going to hit land on the far side. A vast majority of them are perishing at sea, and in the quest of finding something more special. And I want to show through it's about 45 days to row it, 5,000 kilometres. I'm going to hopefully show that what life's like for them. I'm going to be on a solo boat. I've got GPS, I've got a wherewithal to make water and have food available to me, and I'm still going to struggle. I'm still going to have all the battles, physical and mental torture to get across, but I'm going to try to paint a picture. I'm going to paint a picture of somewhat what it's like for a migrant that's getting on a boat, a rubber dinghy, and they haven't a clue if they're going to see life again. That's my motivation.
However uncomfortable it sits with you, it is an inspirational story, and I hope many people do feel empowered watching it. And thanks very much for making the time to talk.
Thank you, I really appreciate it, and thanks very much for opening the door, because it's without a show like yourselves that brings a heightened awareness to it that it's lost.
Thanks very much. Tonight, Special Forces Ultimate Hell Week airs at 9:30 p.m. on RTE2. That is it from us this morning.